Hey, look, bro, you got to remember, she quit in Unrivaled. She just stopped playing in Unrivaled. Said she was hurt. Didn't show up for the championship game. Didn't even show up and watch.
I think Angel Reese, and I'm saying this with my chest out, I think she's quit.
Last season, she claimed her wrist was messed up. Didn't finish playing in none of the games.
Everybody is on fire right now. The WNBA world is buzzing, and all eyes are locked on Angel Reese because the question isn't just what's wrong with her, it's whether she's actually quit again. Has she bailed on the Chicago Sky in the middle of the fight? Angel, at some point you've got to show a little self-awareness because fans aren't buying the same old script. We've heard day-to-day before, but if you followed her career, you know exactly what that tends to mean. Last year, it was a sudden season-ending wrist injury. This year, it's a mysterious back problem, and both times, the timing has been convenient. Meanwhile, over in Indiana, Caitlin Clark is still breaking records with a legitimate injury, still showing up for her team, still fighting for playoff contention. So, is Reese really hurt, or is this the most predictable disappearing act in WNBA history? And how did she just get humiliated after being caught skipping out on her own team while the Sky actually started winning more without her? This isn't just about injuries anymore, it's about patterns, it's about priorities, and it's about the gap between the players who show up and the ones who vanish when the pressure's on. From the moment the Sky's season started wobbling, the whispers began, and now they've turned into full-on chatter. Angel Reese is day-to-day. Again. But fans can practically recite the lines before they even come out. Vague updates, no specifics, just a recycled injury label that somehow always appears right when the losses start stacking up. Last year, it was a serious wrist fracture that supposedly required surgery to prevent arthritis in her 22nd. And just like that, her season was over, with no comeback push, no grind to finish strong, just poof, gone. And if you've paid attention, this isn't even a one-off. She bailed mid-season on the Unrivaled League 2, claiming injury, skipping the championship game, and not even showing up to watch. Fast forward to now, and it's the same movie with a different body part, a mysterious back issue with no timetable and no details. And the pattern? Unmistakable. The Sky struggle, pressure builds, Reese disappears, and somehow she's not even on the bench for marquee games. It's reached the point where Chicago fans are openly asking if she's just checked out completely. And the timing could not be more suspicious. Right in the middle of the Sky's toughest stretch, with must-win games on the schedule, Angel is nowhere to be found, not even traveling with the team to Indiana for a matchup that the league was billing as one of its hottest rivalries. Think about that. She skipped the chance to face Caitlin Clark head-to-head, the exact game fans were dying to see. But just a few weeks earlier, she had no problem being front and center at the All-Star game in Indiana, smiling for cameras, staging photo ops, and even pulling off that marketing stunt about taking over Caitlin Clark's trap. So the back is strong enough for attention-grabbing moments, but too fragile for an actual game against your biggest rival. That's a pattern even casual fans are noticing. And if you followed her career, you know how it plays. Prove a point, rack up some numbers for the headlines, then disappear once the season gets messy. It's not just about injuries anymore. It's about whether she's even committed to showing up when her team needs her most. Because when you line up the timelines, the pattern is impossible to miss. Last year, she went on that late season run just long enough to force her way into the All-Star conversation after sitting 13th in the first ballot count. 10 games, boosted stats, plenty of talk about her being snubbed, and the second she secured the spot, the wrist flared up and she was gone for the year. No comeback, no leadership in the tough stretch, just an exit wrapped in PR. And now, it's the same script, but with a back injury. No official diagnosis, no rehab details, just day-to-day updates that quietly stretch into weeks. Meanwhile, the Sky, a team desperate for their so-called cornerstone player, are actually looking more fluid without her. The ball moves faster, the offense doesn't stall waiting for forced post-ups, and the players trust each other instead of forcing shots to protect one brand. It's the classic case of addition by subtraction, and fans are starting to wonder if her absence is less about bad luck and more about calculated timing. And if you need proof that this isn't just fan speculation, look at the games. The moment Reese is out of the lineup, The Sky's offense actually breathes. Guards run the sets without hesitation, wings cut with purpose, and shots come from clean looks instead of desperation heaves with 3 seconds left. Even the bench seems more alive, more engaged, because possessions aren't being funneled through one ego every trip down the floor. The irony is brutal. Your franchise face sits out, and suddenly the team plays like, well, a team. Coaches won't say it outright, but the subtle hints are there. The urgency, the pace, the spacing, it all improves. Meanwhile, in the games against Indiana, even without Caitlin Clark, the Fever have no problem handing Chicago another loss. Players like Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham step up because they play a brand of basketball built on trust, not on stat padding. And when the cameras catch the Sky trudging through another double-digit loss without their star, the message writes itself. Maybe the problem isn't who's missing, but who's been on the floor all along. And then there's the availability factor. The one thing every coach at every level preaches: the best ability is availability. You can be the most hyped name in the league, but if you're not on the floor, you have no value when it matters. That's where this gets even uglier for Angel Reese, because Chicago's record without her isn't just holding steady, it's better. We're talking about stretches where the Sky finally string together wins, avoid those embarrassing blowouts, and actually look competitive. That's not supposed to happen when your so-called star is out. A real franchise player makes you harder to beat, not easier. Yet, with Reese sidelined, the Sky's ball movement improves, their defense rotates faster, and the scoreboard reflects it. It's the kind of contrast you can't spin away with social media posts or vague injury updates. And when you pair that with her history, 2 straight seasons of vanishing, when the season turns rough, it stops looking like bad injury luck and starts looking like a career habit. Because while Reese fades into another round of mystery updates, Caitlin Clark is showing the league exactly what commitment looks like. Clark's got a legitimate groin injury, one you can trace to an exact moment on the court, but she's still traveling with her team, still in uniform when possible, still locked in during timeouts, breaking down plays, encouraging teammates. She's averaging 16.5 points and nearly 9 assists a game, leading the entire WNBA in assists per game numbers that are impressive for a healthy player, let alone someone playing hurt. And her presence isn't about empty stats. Her assists swing games, change momentum, and keep Indiana in the playoff hunt. That's the difference. One player finds a way to stay part of the fight, the other seems to vanish until the spotlight feels safe again. Fans notice it, teammates notice it, the league notices it, and every game Clark shows up while Reese sits out, the gap between them grows wider, not just in numbers, but in reputation. And that gap couldn't be more obvious when you look at head-to-head results. Indiana has swept Chicago this season, 4 wins, 0 losses, and they've done it whether Clark is in the lineup or not. When Clark plays, she dictates the game's tempo, drawing defenses and creating open shots for teammates. When she's out, players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, and Natasha Howard still step up and execute because the system is built for everyone to contribute. That's the culture. Indiana's building a roster of selfless players who pull for one another, who stay locked in no matter who's injured. Meanwhile, Chicago's star is missing marquee games, not traveling, and leaving the team to scramble for chemistry every night. There's no mystery why one team is climbing and the other is sinking. In Indiana, the plan is clear and the results are real. In Chicago, the marketing is loud, but the wins are silent. And here's the part that should make every Sky fan frustrated. This is shaping up to be the 3rd straight season. Angel Reese doesn't finish what she started. 3 years, 3 injuries, and each one conveniently appearing when the narrative turns against her. In some cases, there's not even a clear moment when the injury happened. No collision, no fall, no footage, just a sudden announcement that she's day-to-day with no timetable. Compare that to Clark, whose injury has a clear timeline, a known cause, and an estimated return date. The contrast is brutal. Indiana's front office is stacking the right mix of young talent and veterans around Clark Boston, dominating inside. Mitchell stretching defenses, Cunningham and Howard bringing toughness, Hull delivering hustle. Chicago, on the other hand, is circling the same problems, clinging to a marketing figure who spends as much time in street clothes as she does in uniform. And as the Fever keep building toward championships, the Sky keep building excuses. At this point, the choice for fans is crystal clear. In Indiana, you've got a team with a vision, a leader who plays through pain, and a roster built to win together for years. In Chicago, you've got a cycle of vanishing acts, vague injury reports, and a team that somehow plays better without its biggest marketing piece. Angel Reese's disappearing patterns aren't just hurting her reputation, they're helping Caitlin Clark's shine brighter with every game. Every absence, every missed trip, every unexplained day-to-day update is a reminder of who's committed and who's calculating. The Fever are stacking wins, stacking chemistry, stacking belief. The Sky? Stacking excuses. So the question isn't whether Angel Reese is really hurt, it's whether Chicago can keep pretending she's the cornerstone of their future. Because in this league, availability isn't just the best ability, it's the one thing that separates players who make history from players who just make headlines.